Hello everyone, I'm going to be doing a quick recap of Noir at the Bar. Um, this is to talk about some of the authors that were there, and then I'm going to upload it some other places too, so it's kind of a way to do the video where I'm not using up my storage. Alright, Noir at the Bar took place in Durham on June 16th. Um, the 106 main bar was, the staff treated us very well, and the audience was good. The 8 authors that were there included Katy Munger, Greg Barth, S.L. Coney, Eryk Pruitt, J.D. Rhodes, S.A. Cosby, Sean Jackson, and myself, Jay Wilburn. If there's ever a noir at the bar near where you are, I suggest you go ahead and go check it out. Good crime fiction, you get a good mix of stuff. This one was interesting. I kind of have a bias towards Southern literature, so I enjoyed it. There was some hard-boiled detective stuff in it, and then some transgressive stuff. I read a story called Hotline that was a little transgressive, and then just a mix of things. Some Southern Gothic in there, new Southern noir, and so I really enjoyed that. I also enjoy Southern literature that doesn't kind of send up the South in a stereotypical way. A lot of poking fun at some tropes and stuff from some of these Southern authors, but they took it in a lot of different directions. There was just interesting characters, interesting settings, and that sort of thing. J.D. Rhodes read from Ice Chest and Hellhound on My Trail. Eryk read from Claws, which was in B-Movie Monsters. His 2 books include Hashtags and Dirtbags. Very kind of in-your-face sort of crime fiction that he writes, and anyone that just really wants a novels that just go raw. I think Eryk's stuff is really good. Eryk Pruitt. S.L. Conley read from Blue Sin and is pushing St. Louis noir, so if you have a chance, check those out. Greg Barth read from Selena, and if you want to look up that novel, you really need to put his name into, otherwise you're going to get a bunch of Selena Gomez stuff. But Greg Barth did just interesting story. The scene that he read from was sort of a scene where she's trying to plan a getaway, but the other person gets caught, and this conversation is taking place as she's kind of trying to decide what to do next. So it's a novel worth checking out. He's also pushing Suicide Lounge, which was a book that he's got out. Katy Munger, fairly well known. There were a lot of people there to see her, and you may already know her if you're into crime fiction. Bad to the Bone was the story that she read from, so that's worth checking out. And then Sean, American Murderess is what he read from. Interesting story. It's hard to describe, but I really enjoyed it. And his novel Haw is one that he's pushing. All of them were very, very good, and I enjoyed everybody's story, but I wanted to focus in on one in particular, and that's S.A. Cosby. His story was Slant 6, and it's going to appear in the final issue of Thug Lit. That magazine is closing down, and his story will be in that final issue. He has a novel called My Darkest Prayer, which he's shopping around, so hopefully that'll be out soon. Really enjoyed Slant 6. It was probably my favorite of the night. Nothing taken away from the other authors. But just tells the story of a boy whose dad is kind of on having trouble on the bad side, and kind of has a habit of coming in. The mom and the dad don't get along, and dad takes the boy on a ride in the Charger that becomes sort of or in the vehicle that becomes sort of symbolic of how the life's out of control. Very good action. The story is just full of a lot of heart. It was interesting because the way that the readings went, there are people at the bar that weren't there for the readings, and typically what would happen is someone would start out, and it would take a while for the crowd to quiet down, and you kind of have to win them over. I kind of started my story in a way to sort of try to grab people, and you deliver the first 2 lines in kind of a conflict sort of way to sort of pull the audience in. When Cosby was reading, it was interesting because his story ran a little long, but very quickly the bar just went silent. He was reading, and I'm not sure how many people noticed, but everybody was just rapt their attention on it. So if you're looking for Thuglit, the next magazine that comes out, check out Slant 6 if you look that up, by S.A. Cosby. Probably one of the best stories I've heard in a long time of any genre. I'm more of a horror writer than I am crime fiction, but really, really enjoyed that story. Can kind of be a career to watch from him, but all the authors did a great job, and I really enjoyed being a part of it. Noir at the Bar started, I believe, in St. Louis and kind of spread around the country. Eryk Pruitt does a lot of those and oversees the Durham one each year. But he's been involved in multiple ones and really encourages it. It's very interesting, just kind of old school reading type thing, but it's very interesting to me. You get readings at conventions and things like that, but none of them are really like Noir at the Bar. So I'm really glad that I got to do this first one, and just very impressed with all the authors. But just want to give a special shout out to S.A. Cosby on his story. And all the stories I mentioned were very good. Nobody lost me as we were going through, which typically happens to me at a reading. I only have so much attention span that I'll give to a story that's being read. But all of them were very interesting, and again, they ran the gambit from the hard-boiled detective stuff to some a little more experimental type things, and just loved all the stories, loved all the authors, and I'll be keeping an eye on them. So glad to be a part of it, and really enjoyed working with them.